My name is Stephen Lighthill. I'm a cinematographer and an educator. Oftentimes, when I'm teaching, we'll ask students to shoot a piece with one lens. So they get to know, say, a 25 millimeter really well, because that's the close-up, that's the wide angle, whatever. And then we'll also teach them to shoot without a monitor, even though they're shooting digital. Look, I began in documentaries, and I think that documentary is an important training ground for narrative, because you do have to be self-reliant and understand that you're shooting for an edit, and be sure you get, a variety of focal lengths and reaction shots and stuff to build a scene. So I think that's great training for narrative, and it's probably the best training in terms of being able to teach improvisation. In the cinematography courses that I teach, we're constantly worried that the students don't fall into a kind of plug-and-play mode in which they plug a light in and see it on a monitor and adjust a little bit and kind of fumble through. So a light meter is an objective standard apart from a camera that tells you exactly how much output a light has. And it's essential to scouting. It should be essential to lighting on a set. It's certainly essential to pre-lighting. You can't pre-light a set if there's no camera there, if you don't have a light meter. You really need a light meter to pre-light. Look, I know that when people get on set, very experienced cinematographers don't use light meters as much as they used to. But many of those people have a huge history of photochemical experience and exposure, and they understand the fundamentals of exposure, and so they don't really need to use a light meter as much as a student should, I think, because we feel it's essential that a cinematographer be the most informed person on a set, or one of the most informed people on the set, so that they understand why they've selected a particular codec and how it's going to work out through the entire production workflow and how it's going to display. And we find that because computers are so commonplace, that there's a kind of attitude on the part of some people that they can make a judgment like, oh, you should shoot 2K, or you should shoot 4K, or you should do one thing or another, when in fact those decisions should be informed decisions. They have huge ramifications for a production as it goes through its entire process. And the cinematographer should be able to not just know what the right answer is, but know why it's the right answer. So we teach, we don't teach coding per se, but we do teach, how to write your own LUTs and how to analyze a frame with a nuke and other devices. Well, in my work, we teach a culture of testing. We make students test every aspect that's a variable, whether it's the kinds of lights they want to use or the kinds of lenses. And we expect them to justify the choice that they make, to show the difference between one thing or another. And look, ultimately it's very subjective. What one person sees in a set of lenses, another person may not. The bottom line is all tools are good tools. What's important is that as a cinematographer, you're in sync with the story being told, and the equipment you're using should be very much secondary and not distract you from the fact that you've got to get the camera in the right place for the emotion of the moment.